Profitable practices. Farm solutions for people, profit, and the planet on Real Agriculture is brought to you by Farm Credit Canada and RBC Royal Bank.
Hi, I'm Bernard Tobin. Welcome to another episode of Profitable Practices. Today I'm in Ontario's Waterloo region catching up with chicken farmer Scott Buchan. Scott is a big fan of technology and innovation and how it can help him farm. On this episode, we're going to take a look at how he's using heating and lighting innovation to create a better environment for his birds and make the farm more profitable and sustainable. Hey Scott, tell us about your farm operation. Give us a snapshot.
Yeah, so my name's Scott Buchan. I'm a chicken broiler farmer here in Waterloo region. I farm with my parents, Ivan and Judy Buchan. I've been involved in the family farm operation for about 27 years now. So our main part of the business is we raise 4-kilo chicken roaster birds. So if you went to the grocery store and bought a whole roasting bird, that's what we raise here on our farm. We also have 300 acres of cash crop, predominantly corn, so that we can maximize our manure. We also graze some cattle for a neighbor here in the summer, and that's really what the operation looks like today.
Now Scott, bird health and welfare is a key focus for your farm. How does the environment you create impact the birds and profitability and sustainability of the farm?
Yeah, so the farm environment is really key and crucial to the success of this operation for the welfare of the birds. Birds don't like big changes in temperature or fluctuations really of any kind, and so that consistency is key. With the technology and the barn environment that we have available today, we're able to minimize those swings and really make sure that they have a constant environment, that they're comfortable. If they're comfortable, they're eating, they're drinking, they're growing.
Now, over the years, you've maintained a big commitment to technology and innovation. You keep a close eye on everything from heating and lighting to air quality. How important is technology in the success of this farm?
Technology has been hugely important to this operation. Partly is the reason is that we're not in the barn 24/7, and so we have the capability to try to maintain that consistent barn environment. We also have the ability to monitor it when we're away from the farm. It sure doesn't replace us being in the barn with the birds and monitoring how they're doing, but it gives us that extra tool. It's also helped us create efficiencies in terms of our heating and just really improving our carbon footprint, I would say, over the years.
Let's talk about some of the innovations you've invested in and how it contributes to the operation. Now, in this barn, you have evaporative cooling. Tell us how it works and how it impacts the barn environment and the birds.
Yeah, so evaporative cooling is really a mechanism to help cool the barn down in the extreme heat of the summer. We had a bird loss here about 12 or 13 years ago, and it was at that point I realized I didn't want to have my birds experience that kind of extreme heat again. So we installed the technology about 12 or 13 years ago. What it is, it looks like a car radiator on the front of the barn. We trickle water down that evaporated pad, and then we have 60-inch cooling fans at the end, and we're moving about 650 feet of airspeed a minute. And because of the speed of that air and that water, we're able to cool the environment of the barn internally by about 10 degrees, which is huge. It makes the birds very comfortable. When they're comfortable, we don't have to take them off feed, so it improves our feed efficiency. They're eating throughout the heat of the day, which is important. And with that airspeed that we use, we make sure that we're not making the barn environment wet or moist, which can also impact, disease and everything else.
You've added a solar wall to this barn. When you walk around, you will see a lot of black steel. How does that help manage the bird environment and I guess the cost of heat?
Yeah, so what the solar wall does, and this was kind of preemptive to what we now have in our heat exchangers, but with the solar wall, that black is catching the the sunlight. It's using the heat of the sun to actually heat the incoming air. So within the cavity of that solar wall is where we've been pulling in our fresh air, and it's warming that fresh air. And because we're preheating it, we have a less reliance on propane heat that we need to add to the barn environment.
Tell me a little bit more about those heat exchangers and about that technology.
Yeah, so really the heat exchangers are just an evolution of the solar wall. So what it's doing is we're using that as our minimum ventilation. It's also bringing in cool fresh air. It's using that warm air that's being exhausted to preheat that cool air coming in, so it really tightens up the cycle, and we figure it's dropped our heat requirement for external heat through our infrared heaters by probably 40 to 45%.
I've also noticed some tree windbreaks around the barn. Tell us about that strategy.
Yeah, so my dad has been a big advocate of planting trees over the years, and we've farmed in multiple farm locations, and I hate to think about how many trees we've actually planted. It's probably in the tens of thousands, but as those trees get bigger, we have a very strong southwest wind here, and you've noticed this morning it's very windy here, and so as those trees get bigger, we have them planted on either side of the barns. It really minimizes and slows down the wind, and because those exterior walls of the barn aren't being exposed to that strong winds, it also once again minimizes the amount of external heat we need to do to keep that constant bird environment.
In a chicken barn like this, lighting plays a key role. About 10 years ago, you installed an LED lighting system. How important was that move?
Yeah, once again, it was all about cost and efficiency. When we installed those lights, before that, incandescent lights, you could still dim them. The LED lights that we use today, the technologies came a long way. When we installed them, that was really the first point where you could actually dim them and control the intensity of the light inside the barn. Once again, that's probably dropped our energy costs from a lighting perspective by about 75 or 80%.
In the big picture here, Scott, when you look at all the technology and innovation that you've invested in, how do you assess, the impact of it on profitability and sustainability of the farm?
Yeah, so one really easy way is to look at our energy bill, right? And we also installed solar panels about 3.5 years ago. Since we've started generating solar, we're on a net metering program. We essentially haven't had a hydro bill here in 3.5 years, so that's huge from a financial sustainability. I would say also, as we've added more technology into the barn, it's really helped control that environment, make a comfortable environment for our birds, and bird health and bird welfare is paramount on our operation. It's how we measure everything. The birds will talk to you when you walk to the barn. You can tell if they're happy and healthy, and the technology has sure helped help us achieve that. And I would say just overall, we're trying to be more efficient, and we've been able to lessen our inputs, and from that standpoint, it's been extremely successful.
Hey, final question for you, and that is, what's the next innovation here at the farm? Lots of technology out there.
There's lots of technology, and it can actually kind of make your head spin a little bit, but I would say one that we might look at this point is pretty cost prohibitive, but geothermal to generate, heat for the barn with the existing environment. Artificial intelligence is huge, and why we haven't seen necessarily any products or services come out of that. I know in Europe and other parts of the world, they're already using that, so we're monitoring that closely. So I always try and keep an open mind and just be open to what the next technology improvement we can do and implement here at Buchrest Farms.